I'm Haley Taylor, and you're listening to the Rough Draft Diaries. The Rough Draft Diaries has arrived at the Valentine Theatre, not to see any play or musical, but to hang out with Elizabeth Cottle. She's the manager of support services at the theater, and she's been nominated to be on this episode of the Rough Draft Diaries. Now, before we get to Elizabeth, let's hear just a little bit of history about this particular theater. The Valentine is a 120-year-old, 901-seat facility operated by the Toledo Cultural Arts Center. The theater reopened to the public about 17 years ago, had to go through a full restoration to get back on its feet, but now it brings a wide range of programs each season. Some include classic film showings, some are touring Broadway productions, and others are connected with local groups, such as the Toledo Symphony, the Toledo Opera, Toledo Ballet, and many others. Actually, before Elizabeth worked at the Valentine, she was one of those local performers.
Actually, started out performing here. I have a degree from Ohio Northern University in the communication arts and performing. I started out performing in community theater, so I think between graduating there and here, I've been involved in some capacity or another, about 50 shows, I would say, mostly on the acting side of things.
Through her acting, the Valentine became aware of Elizabeth's skills, off the stage and on the stage, and she was offered a position in program development and grant writing, and this eventually led to directing.
And they came to me and said, "We need a director, are you interested?" And I was a little bit nervous. I'd only done one show before that, and I thought, yes, why not? This is a great opportunity. So I started to try my hand at the Studio A series. So The Mousetrap was my first production here directing.
Studio A is a black box theater, which means it's a small performance space with black walls and a flat floor. It's good for intimate plays or experimental productions.
A lot of it has to do with cast size because it is such an intimate theater. You can't accommodate for large casts like the main stage. So it came down to what was feasible for the space. This year, we thought we would change it up and do a comedy, so we have the 39 Steps going in. And
Elizabeth is involved in almost every production that comes to the Valentine in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes she's directing the actors on Studio A, and sometimes she's simply a helping hand, making sure productions on the main stage run smoothly. She lives and breathes theater, and I was wondering, when was the first time she discovered this passion?
Well, my story is actually somewhat bittersweet. My dad was always encouraging me. I was a singer in church choir, and he was always encouraging me to get involved. And so finally, my freshman year of high school, I decided that I was going to audition, and I went out for The Music Man and was cast in the role of Zanita Shin. And my dad at the time had brain cancer and passed away on one of the Friday performances. And so it was my first experience with that ideal of the show must go on. And I went, and to be able to be in a different place in a different time and create so much joy for people when it was personally difficult, I think that was the moment where I thought, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. I can still give to the community despite what I'm going through.
And that is really Elizabeth's dream, not only for the actors she directs on stage, but for the audience members who get to share this experience.
To me, I think it's wonderful to be able to support different people and their artistic forms of expression. Sometimes you gain something from stories that you never expected to encounter. You go to a theater and you're hit in a particular way. It's really interesting in terms of seeing live performances and what people have to perform night after night. There's something very powerful about watching it all come together live before your eyes and seeing the different elements that sometimes work and sometimes don't and how they adapt immediately on stage. And it makes you feel a little bit more a part of it. There are also several well-acclaimed theaters, community theaters in the area. So on any given weekend, there could be multiple performances happening. For the most part, I would say it's a pretty healthy group.
A theater can really only establish community once they have an audience who supports and attends performances. According to Elizabeth, that number for Toledo is growing stronger and stronger with every production. Now, we need a little help from Elizabeth to move on to the next act of the Rough Draft Diaries. Her choices for our next interview include
Tony Zuiza, who is a local tattoo artist and sign painter. Another is Russ Courtney, who has built his own food truck. And Josh Mernon, who is involved in rebuilding local neighborhoods.
Tune in next time to hear who I pick on the Rough Draft Diaries. For now, I'm Haley Taylor, and thanks for listening.